What's going on, family? It's been a minute. Got Next with Meghan and Zora is back. Nice to have a little bit of a break, but it's time to go full throttle into conference play. I will say, Meghan, I had a number of people over the last few weeks tell me that they've been listening to the pod, watching the pod, whether it's on your way to work or you're at work and you just put it up on YouTube. We appreciate it. Like, this is, new to us, and it's a passion project, and we're really excited that we're doing it. So I just want to say thanks to everyone for the support.
Yes, thank you very much. I was very excited because I also, during our 2-week holiday break, which was absolutely lovely, I had multiple people come up and say they were listening and watching, and it was people I wasn't related to.
Yeah, it wasn't our moms.
It wasn't our moms. It was people who, a real human being waiting to hear. But yes, to echo that retweet, thank you, everybody. I tell you what, women's basketball, it's so much fun right now. Like, we have so much to talk about today with what happened over the last 2 weeks, but I think the game is in such a good place. It's so exciting, and every single game is coming down to the wire, and like, there are no really guaranteed W's of some of these top matchups we're seeing.
It's appointment television. Like, there's certain matchups that you just have to put on your calendar because you want to see them live and you want to see how everything plays out. So it's just some really good basketball. I mean, the big one, like, over the break, I think, was USC and UConn, right? Like, you put that in your calendar because you want to be able to watch it when it happened. Right off the top, though, just in the last week, we're thick of conference play. Like, this is where it gets spicy. And the first game that you wanted to highlight was Oklahoma, Tennessee. It's still weird for me to say Oklahoma and SEC, but we'll get there.
It's so weird. It's so weird. I like what you said, spicy. Put some Tabasco sauce, Cholula, whatever your preference is with the hot sauce. OU and Tennessee are two of my favorite teams just to watch right now in college basketball because they're high scoring, high flying. They play with a ton of pace. This was a fascinating matchup. Tennessee presses you for 40 minutes long, and they turn you over at such a high rate. This matchup is really interesting because OU is a team that can play with some pace and handle some pressure. Early on in the game, Oklahoma was able to break the press, handle it. They got the ball over the top and were scoring layups, but they ended up turning it over 31 times. Tennessee had 30 points off of OU turnovers, which is absolutely crazy. It's how they win games. It goes down to the wire. However, OU is able to get out alive on the road, which, Zora, you know better than anybody how difficult it is to win conference games on the road. And what impressed me most about Oklahoma's play is their depth. Look, Skylar Vann, who was the co-Big 12 Player of the Year last season, 4th leading scorer on the team this year, she was held to 1 shot attempt, which in 0 points, which is, it's crazy that they still came out with a win with one of their best players not scoring, but they had 45 bench points. If you want to make a deep run, come conference play, come NCAA tournament time, you have to have depth on your bench. And that's exactly what OU has. And to get a win on the road at Tennessee in a hostile environment, huge for the Sooners.
Yeah, no, big road win. And I do want to give props to Tennessee. They were down by 19
in
the third quarter, and you find a way to bring it back and make it a game. We know that both teams play fast paced. They play a lot of different players. Tennessee, I believe, has LSU next. Oklahoma has Mississippi State. Okay, so we go from the SEC to the ACC. North Carolina, Notre Dame. I know, I want to be careful. I know on paper it's like a huge matchup, but like I see it and I'm like, I had no fear that Notre Dame was going to come top. And I appreciate everything that's going on with the Tar Heels, but Notre Dame is just on fire right now. And you get the return of Maddy Westbeld, which I'm not even talking about what she's able to do. It's added energy when you get a big player like that back.
To quote my girl Taylor Swift, it's been a long time coming, and Maddy Westbeld is back for the Irish, which is good just to get her, feet underneath her. Basketball shape is a shape you just cannot get into unless you play basketball. Unfortunately, you can run as many sprints as you want to. It's just not going to be the same. So good to see her back finally out there on the floor. But to your point, Zora, like UNC is one of the best defensive teams in the country. They're really aggressive, and they were able to turn like Notre Dame over in this game. Like, they forced 21 turnovers, had 25 points off those turnovers. But what makes Notre Dame so hard right now, they are shooting lights out from 3, 44% as a team. That doesn't happen ever. Not only does that lead the ACC, it leads the whole entire nation. And It was Notre Dame's first win in Chapel Hill since 2017. So you had the 3-point
That's a big
shooting.
nugget. That's a big nugget there.
Big
First
nugget.
win on the road in Chapel Hill since, wow.
2017. And which, by the way, 2017, I'm like, oh, that wasn't that long ago. And then I'm like, wait, that was 8 years ago. So that in fact,
We're in 2025 now.
yeah, that in fact was a long time ago. But what makes the Irish so special? I mean, we talk about their backcourt all the time, Miles, Hidalgo, Citron, but they make shots and they're efficient. And that's what's so dangerous about them.
Meghan, Miles and Hidalgo combining for 10 threes
How
on
do
less
you
than
guard it?
23 3-point attempts is crazy.
The only way you can guard them is just hope they miss the game, like hope they miss the bus or something from the hotel and oversleep. It's insane to see how consistent they have been throughout this whole season. I feel like a broken record when we talk about the Irish.
Hannah had like a double pump, like almost. I don't want to call it a granny shot because it was very skillful.
It was a smooth.
She was like, I don't even know where that came from, and it went in. There's the number right there: 43 of Notre Dame's 76 points. And I go back to when we were kind of previewing Notre Dame, and everybody was wondering how they were going to play together. Kudos to Niele Ivey. Kudos to Olivia Miles, too, for the way she's positioned her game to be able to play with a dynamic guard like Hannah. I mean, we talked about the improved shooting numbers and all of that. They really have fit well together.
And Olivia Miles and Hannah Hidalgo have fit seamlessly with each other. There's no competition. Like they're just, when one does well, the other's doing well.
Mm-hmm.
And for them to have that maturity and mentality as a team is huge. And it's, again, going to allow them to go far once March comes.
Yeah. I live in the Triangle in North Carolina. So we can't we can't finish this segment without giving some props just to Courtney Banghart and her journey. Obviously she's at UNC right now, but she, was at Princeton before and built somewhat of a dynasty there and culture there, and now translating it to North Carolina. I've run into her on multiple occasions, and I just appreciate her basketball mind and her energy and how she goes about things. So I just wanted to make sure we shout out the North Carolina folks. Don't worry, Duke, your time is coming. You will come up in the pod, and we will go down the Carol Lawson, Northern Virginia connection. There's 6 degrees of separation everywhere.
I mean,
Meghan and I are originally from Virginia. I'm going on tangents here.
And now you're moving with Northern, now you're down in North Carolina. You're staying in the regions.
Yeah. And now speaking of, okay, so I love, we're kind of going all over. So we did the SEC and we did Oklahoma, Tennessee. Then we went to the coast and we were doing North Carolina, Notre Dame. Now let's go to where the mayor is, knows everything that's going on in the Big Ten. Yep. That's your conference.
That's right. I know a lot of coffee shops in the Big Ten if you want to talk
UCLA,
about that.
Indiana. You like your trips to Indiana. This game
I love going to Indiana.
Yeah.
And listen, shout out to Bloomington as a college town. Great restaurants, coffee shops, easy to get around, all the things. Look, this game was fascinating. Zora, you've called games in Indiana. It's one of the toughest environments to go into.
It's so unique, too, the way the crowd is like hovered right over you. And it's one of the great environments in, I don't want to say women's college basketball, but like college basketball, period. But the way that they rally for the women there. I mean, I wasn't there. Obviously, I was just watching it through the TV and it looked electric. But that's like every game.
Right. And it gets so loud there. So like when I was in college at Northwestern, we hated playing at Indiana for a couple of reasons. One, the crowd's really loud. 2, the way the Assembly Hall is shaped, it's kind of like a ship almost.
Yeah.
And I always thought the corner threes were really difficult because your depth perception is off with how like the building is designed. It's one of the great college basketball arenas. Really difficult for opponents to like come in and play in. So one, tough environment. And look, like the Big Ten, as of the last couple of years, have had some really hard environments because so many people are fascinated by the Big Ten conference. Obviously, Caitlin Clark was a huge reason for that last year, the last couple of years, selling out arenas. But like you go to Iowa, Maryland, you name it, Purdue, like these are some places where it's like loud. Anyways, I say all that because UCLA comes in on the road and handled the crowd so well. It's a tough place to play. I am so impressed with the balance that UCLA has. I mean,
talk about when you're playing against them, the scouting report, like you actually really you really need to read it. And
KYP, know your personnel.
Yeah, because they just have so many weapons and so many people that contribute each and every night.
And Lauren Betts, and we're going to give Lauren Betts some more love a little later on the pod, but I love her game. She is so much fun to watch. And it's not just her scoring. Like, yes, obviously that's what makes her a great player. She gets deep post positioning. She's got great footwork. She can finish over both shoulders, all the things. Her playmaking and her passing, Zora, make this UCLA team so difficult. She's facing so many different coverages. If you play her one-on-one, she's going to score on you. If you double or triple team her, she's going to find her teammates opposite side of the floor. Her passing is so good where she's hitting her teammates in their shooting pockets. They don't have to move very much. On the move, she can like hit that bounce pass that leads her teammates to a basket on a backdoor cut. Her passing and IQ are off the charts, and that's a part of her game that's not getting enough love. And it's a huge reason to me why they are so dangerous. It's because they have a 6'7" playmaker on the floor.
She doesn't force anything too.
No.
Like, okay, in this particular game, she had a double, I think it was 25 and 12, right? But there have been, let's go back to that South Carolina game where UCLA knocked off South Carolina. Her numbers weren't huge, but her presence is, and she knows when it's an opportunity for her to go one-on-one, or it's an opportunity for her to kick out, or she knows if she just, ducks in, the defense collapses and it opens things up for other people. Just the poise and the IQ. And I know a lot of people, they'll talk about her height, but what she's able to do takes skill. It's not like, and I want to make sure that that's the narrative behind her.
And she doesn't, she's comfortable in her body. Like, she moves so well too at 6'7". It's like, I don't know. I'm a huge fan. I am in the Lauren Betts fan club.
I know. And we're going to bring up later on. I do want to say Indiana kept it, like the first quarter was close. Then UCLA went on a run in the second, and Indiana, like they almost like they would get it to 5 or they get it to 6. And then UCLA just responded to every run, and Indiana couldn't get it over the hump to where it was like a 1-possession game going back and forth.
And I will say, I wish, let's make up hypotheticals. I would have loved to have seen Lauren Betts go against Mackenzie Holmes last year.
Oh, yeah.
That would be kind of fun to see in a wish list of things. But, shout out Mackenzie Holmes, who's now on the bench for Indiana as a GA and crushing it and all the things there. But, yeah, no, to your point, Indiana as a team, they're not going to give up at all. And, again, that home environment to maintain your lead when Indiana's pushing in a hostile area is huge.
This is our perfect segue into, I don't know if this is going to be an ongoing segment, but the topic came up because in the chat with our producer, Megan's like, Lauren Betts should be in the conversation for Player of the Year. So now we're like, well, let's talk about everybody who should be in the conversation.
Open it up, baby. Let's do it.
Lauren Betts obviously deserves to be talked about, but who else you got, Megan?
Lauren Betts, obviously, check. Also gave me my favorite fall Starbucks coffee order. So shout out to Lauren Betts on that one. Look, you see the numbers that she's been able to put up so far. I mean, 20, she's averaging a double-double, 20 and 10. I feel like those assists.
And the field goal percentage, look at that.
The efficiency off the chain, obviously. But I feel like that those assists are higher to me. That I'm going by the eye test. She's got more than 2.5 assists per game. I don't believe that stat. I feel like the way she plays when I watch her, I feel like she's averaging like 8 assists a game sometimes. But look, she's a player that is making a drastic impact, not just in scoring, on the number 1 team in the nation. And that to me means you deserve to be in the conversation for Player of the Year.
Next up, we go to UConn.
By the way,
this is right, we're talking preseason Player of the Year candidate and just continuing to do what we thought she would do. I really hope she's okay. I don't know if everybody saw.
Yeah.
She went down, I think, against Villanova, and had to limp off. Gino, I believe, said he's not too concerned, but anytime, UConn can't catch a break when it comes to the injuries, but hopefully Paige is okay and can continue the season that she's already started.
No, to that point, our thoughts with Paige Bueckers, obviously AZ Fudd starting to come back, dealt with some injuries early on. We got to wrap these ladies in bubble wrap.
Right?
Stores, yeah. But hey, Paige Bueckers. By the way, folks, these are in alphabetical order, not in the order of.
That's a great caveat, Megan. You don't want anybody coming for you.
Well, they're going to come for me anyways. But just, it is an alphabetical order. But Paige Bueckers and what she's done this year, she's lived up to the expectations and the hype. And what impresses me most about her stats are the efficiency numbers. As a guard, she's shooting nearly 56% from the field and 40% from 3. So that means you're not taking bad shots. You're not rushing anything. You're not forcing anything. And that's huge. And that's part of her maturity and why her game's going to translate so well to the WNBA. because she makes such good decisions with the ball in terms of when to pass it and when to keep it for herself and score.
I mean, yeah, so 50, 40, 90 in the basketball world is like almost unattainable throughout a season. There's only a certain number of people that are able to do it. And obviously she's over 50% from the field, 40% from three, and she's 80% from the free throw line. She would need that 90 to be in that 50, 40, 90 club. But I just brought it up because the numbers are trending in that direction. Okay. Who's the third person?
The third person is Hannah Hidalgo with
naturally.
The old Irish.
I will say preseason, right? Obviously, Paige, JuJu were like player of the year at the top of the list. Hannah, rightfully so, has emerged as a huge candidate with her consistency. Sometimes you have like a breakout freshman year, and then everybody's ready for you in your sophomore season, and there's a slump. Not with Hannah Hidalgo.
No sophomore slump for Miss Hidalgo. And I got to tell you, she is the most fun player right now in college basketball to watch.
Yeah.
I mean, every time it's funny when my husband sits down and watch games with me, he like loves watching Hannah Hidalgo. He's like, oh my gosh, this is like so exciting because it is. And she hits unbelievable shots and she plays with so much passion. And like, you love watching her because she looks like she's having so much fun. And it's not just offense. Like, on defense, she's a menace. She's almost more fun to watch on defense.
4 steals a game.
Leads the nation. Like, she's everywhere. She's like the last person on earth you want guarding you if you have the ball. I love watching her game. I love everything about how she's played and the consistency. Again, when you're talking about Player of the Year awards, it comes down to consistency. And a lot of times I will say this, Player of the Year awards are scoring awards. And you know, right now Hannah Hidalgo ranks in the top 3 in scoring in the nation, nearly 26 a game, and her numbers efficient. I mean, as a guard, she's listed at 5'7". She's probably what, 5'6", really?
Yeah, we're putting on some inches from the shoes there.
Yes. And I say that with all due respect because no one can guard her. It doesn't matter how tall she is. Nearly 49%, near 46% from three. I mean, these numbers are unreal. The stats that she's putting up right now, and its consistency on both ends of the floor, which to me makes her a prime candidate, not just for Player of the Year, but Defensive Player of the Year as well.
Before we go to our next player, where does team success rank when you're, say you've got to fill out a ballot for Player of the Year? How much do you take that into consideration?
That's a great question. And it depends. It's a case-by-case basis. If you're putting up just unbelievable numbers consistently day in and day out, and your team is in a really good conference and they're maybe in the middle of the pack, to me, that still means you deserve to be in the conversation. But if you're on not a great team, maybe not in a great conference, and you're just scoring because you're just better than everybody, that to me shows maybe you're not necessarily deserving of being in that conversation because of the competition you're facing.
Yeah. No, valid points always. Okay, we keep moving down the list. We've done 3, 2 more to go. Zora Latson. I like this is the player that deserves more conversation around her game.
Could not agree with you more. Zora Latson at Florida State currently leads the nation in scoring. And Zora, she to me is fascinating because she creates her own shot in different ways. She's so quick and crafty with the ball in her hands. Like, you can't stay in front of her whenever she's going downhill. She makes really good decisions in the mid-range and, of course, does have that 3-point shot as an option. You look at some of her numbers right now and the consistency again. And all these players that we're considering for Player of the Year, they're efficient, right? Like,
that's the word. You keep consistency for sure.
And they're consistent. She's put up – I feel like I'm never shocked when I go onto like Twitter and I see, or X, whatever we want to call it. And it's like, Zora Latson dropped 40. I'm like, shocker. This is not a thing. And when I say, Player of the Year, a lot of times is a scoring award. And if we're going on based off that, Zora Latson would be Player of the Year right now. Really curious to see how Florida State continues to do in conference play. They've done pretty well so far. So look, this is a name you all should know in women's college basketball as somebody who is going to be in the conversation for Player of the Year when it's all said and done.
Last but not least, we go from the East Coast to the West Coast. JuJu Watkins.
Zora, I saw JuJu Watkins for the first time in person the other day.
You could just cover the Rutgers game live. Okay, impression. I love this, but I love when you see somebody in person. Yeah.
Yes, because I tell you what, it's you watch them on TV and everything, but to see JuJu in person, I will say the one thing that stood out to me more than anything, I mean, first off, you talk about her body control. We talk about how she's a pure scorer, all of the things. Her size makes her so difficult to defend. At 6'2", she's a guard, but you can't really put a smaller guard on her necessarily because she can shoot over them. But then you can't really put a bigger forward on her because she's so quick, she can get past anybody. She's kind of a mismatch nightmare in that sense. But everything about her game is so fun to watch. She's so smooth. She's got tremendous control. Even coming down, it looks like she's going in slow motion, but she's going full speed. And it's just so pretty to watch. I love how she doesn't get rattled, or razzled.
Rattled
Pick
or
poison
rattled.
on that one.
All her words.
All the words. She doesn't get any sort of sped up ever. And that to me makes her so special, consistent, efficient, you name it. But I love how she has continued to grow her game, and she's going left and right now. And it's just, I love when she's going down transition. Her Euro step is so smooth. Like, I could watch highlights of it all day long, but her size is what really stuck out to me at 6'2". Like that's a problem for a lot of people. And during the game, I even said, like, the team I've seen guard her best was Notre Dame, because Sonia Citron, similar in size, similar in athleticism.
Yeah.
And she did a better job of cutting down JuJu's angles and like forcing her into help. Yep. Where a lot of teams that USC is going to face don't have
somebody that can match up against her.
Exactly.
Yeah, great point. Okay, so we highlighted all the individuals. Now let's go to the teams. Meghan's power rankings. It's been a couple weeks, and there's some changes.
There have been some changes. Well, number one, UCLA stays the same.
Well, that's not changing.
And I got to tell you what, Zora, it's impressive because conference play has now started. The travel schedule has now started for the Big Ten with these West Coast teams coming out. And it's actually like a pretty logical schedule. They come out with, they kind of have travel partners in terms of who they play geographically. Travel partners is not the right word, but like, for example, they'll play Indiana, Purdue, or they'll play Northwestern Illinois. So they're in the same region. And they played good competition, and they're beating Big Ten opponents who are ranked by double digits. So UCLA stays number one. Notre Dame just continues to climb because they continue to play just insane teams and win games at a high level.
Can I insert, because this is just where, it's like, do we feel like the collective group of the women's basketball community is giving Notre Dame too much grace for the losses in the Thanksgiving tournament?
That's a great question. I don't think so. And I have a hot take on MTEs, which are your thing. MTE, multi-team event during like Thanksgiving and Christmas. Yes, obviously, like, it's the first time a lot of opponents face, or a lot of teams rather face opponents that are ranked or whatever. But like, Utah is a really good team. They're starting to receive votes in the AP top 25. You lose that game. TCU is ranked in the top 25. Like, those aren't bad losses. Yep. So it's not like you're losing to a low major team, necessarily. It's a fair question, but I think MTEs are a little different because the environment is not necessarily the same as what you're going to see in the regular season at all. You can compare it to a tournament environment in a sense. Sure, you could make that argument. But to me, early on in the season, November losses, I don't think should necessarily be dwelled on, especially if you've come back from that and are dominating the way that Notre Dame has.
Yeah, and they've had such big matchups, like multiple top 5 matchups. We're talking USC, UConn, Texas, that they've won all those games. I mean, it's hard. I mean, those are, for them to come out on top on all 3 of those. You looked at their schedule to start and you're like, oh, we'll see. And they've succeeded.
3 AP top 5 wins. Like, that to me, like, that kind of cuts out the fact that you lost 2 games in Mexico in November that weren't even really on television. So like, stuff like that. Not that matters, but.
And South Carolina going to 3 is just a result of Notre Dame's dissension.
It's not because South Carolina did anything wrong. It's just more so Notre Dame did a lot right. And South Carolina to me is still a Final Four team. Like, I'm excited to see them in SEC play. But yeah, I mean, like, their depth is off the chain. And Zora, they are averaging more bench points than anybody in the nation right now, like more than 40, which is crazy.
It's because they don't even start their best scorers.
I know, which I love. I
love it too. So I just say that to say that's why we're seeing so much from the bench. USC comes back into the top 5.
USC, I tell you what, and like, I know it was not the Rutgers game was a little skewed in terms of, personnel for Rutgers that could not play and all that. But to see USC in person on the road and just see how much pace they play with, like they have so much depth and so many weapons, and their freshmen are really good. And Kiki Ariafen is tough to defend. Rhea Marshall, like from top to bottom, everybody's a problem. And any given night, really, anyone could be the leading scorer to me when I watch USC. So to me, really exciting team. And then Texas continues to be on the rise, and it's more so that win over Oklahoma was huge for them. On the road, for them to come out and play the way they did, even with like Madison Booker was in foul trouble a lot of that game, and they were still able to get a big win over one of the best teams in the SEC, Oklahoma, and of course their rival. So I'm high on Texas right now. Really like their team. I feel good about these power rankings at the moment.
I love it. Yeah, I'm with it. Another go-to segment that we have here on Got Next is our On Her Turf moment. Of course, that is NBC's women's empowerment brand. And so we just spotlight a part of the game, a person, a story. And today it just goes to Olivia Miles and the comeback. Coming back better than ever is so hard to do when you miss like almost 2 years, right, of basketball, and specifically her shooting numbers. I mean, look at this 3-point field goal percentage.
I love it. I read an article from Notre Dame's website saying Miles entered the season with a lifetime 3-point percentage of 24.6. Now she's shooting 47.8% from downtown this year.
I mean, that's shooter numbers. Like that's like somebody that is just on the floor to like shoot threes and play defense. Obviously, Olivia Miles does so much more than that. But that's how good that 3-point number is, 46.
And she said when she was hurt in this article, like, before I was thinking about shooting threes, like I was too much in my mind, and now I'm not thinking. And like you said, she's shooting like Diana Taurasi in her prime numbers, like Steph Curry-esque numbers, where we're just like, yeah, that's going in the moment she puts it up. So again, shout out Olivia Miles.
Shout out. Yeah. And when you're rehabbing an injury, there's times where all you can do is just get non-contact shots up where you can't really even jump that much.
Mm-hmm.
And you just have time to work on, your form or your catch and release, whatever it may be. And it's, whatever Olivia Miles did, it's working. And it's nice when you have a lot of depth around you. Like there's only so many, you got to put a lot of attention on Hannah Hidalgo, and so it probably opens things up too for her. Mm-hmm. Okay. It's called Got Next. So who's got next? We kind of switch it up from college basketball to Unrivaled. I love how women's basketball is year round. You have multiple places to watch, multiple platforms, multiple styles. This is a brand new league founded by Brianna Stewart and Nafisa Collier. And it's a 3x3 league that is based down in Miami. And the biggest WNBA stars are part of it. They just had their media day, and they're getting ready to kick off in a few.
They've done this right. I'm telling you right now. From the salaries, the average salary is 6 figures for these players, to having it in Miami in the winter. I mean, another smart move there. You saw the footage from media days. Like, first off, the Sephora room. I am dying to know what I think. Lexi Hull did an unboxing, and I only saw a little bit of it. I need to see what else they got from Sephora, but they're treating this right. They're doing it the right way. They poured a ton of money into it, as these women deserve. And this is a great option. So now these players don't have to go overseas for months on end, and they don't have to necessarily kill their bodies in an overseas season, which lasts 5 or 6 months. And then you got to come back and play in the WNBA. You can still work on your fundamentals. I love the 3x3 game because it translates well over to the 5-on-5 game, because you have to set great screens. You have to be able to play your man one-on-one. Like there's so many different things individually that you can work on in 3x3 that translate well over to 5-on-5. I'm so excited for this. And they also just look like they're having a blast. And I love the jerseys.
Yeah. Also, an added element to this league. Okay, so they're going to have 3x3. It's going to go on for just over a month, and there's multiple teams. The players have equity in the teams, so ownership is a part of it. There's also going to be a one-on-one tournament, and the winner will get $250,000 in addition to their salary. Some of the investors in this league, and I just want to give props because I think this is fabulous. Dawn Staley, okay, JuJu, who's still in college. You want to talk about just using your resources in the right way and pouring back into the game, but also being financially smart. Like, I'm so impressed with these young women. Michael Phelps, love to see that. And as someone who spent a lot of time in Milwaukee, it did warm my heart to see that Giannis was investing in the women's basketball game. So this list of just, new investors for Unrivaled just speaks to the pull that this league has been able to put together. I mean, they have their own TV deal. It's just everything that they've been able to do, and they haven't even played a game yet, is been really cool to see.
So much fun. And also, you have people like Giannis and Michael Phelps like investing in women's basketball. It also brings in like another crowd, another like interest
audience,
another audience,
international audience too. When you're talking about Giannis and even Michael Phelps, right? You bring in the swimming community and all good things. Yeah. Unrivaled deserves its props. It's been great chatting. I missed you. I mean, I've seen you, but still, like in this capacity.
And if we may end things on a literal got next, because who's got next is both of us got next. But Zora, you have officially announced that you are, in fact, you can go ahead and make the announcement.
No, yeah. I mean, our family is growing, and of course, I'm gonna try to swindle and put it on Meghan first and say that Meghan is expecting, as we have alluded to on the pod, and she's been absolutely crushing it as a mom already, as a working mom. Had her baby shower over the break, and of course, here at Got Next, we support each other, not just on the mic, but behind the mic too. So an amazing shower for Meghan in Charlotte over the break, and turns out I'm pregnant too. Yeah.
Yes.
My husband and I are expecting twins. That's the real kicker. Everybody's like, "Oh, congrats!" And I'm like, "There's two in there."
No. So if I may share the story, Zora, when you texted me about this. For you sent me a picture of the ultrasound, and it was a picture of two, and I was kind of like, with the ultrasound they give you like 5 pictures or whatever. So I was like thinking, it's just one. Oh my gosh, this is so exciting. And then I like replied, and then you said something back, and I was like, oh my gosh, she's having twins. And the Converse, and how cute you and Kevin are. We love Kevin and your matching outfits, and the Converse, which is your signature.
We love our Converse. Yes.
Zora, you're having twins. Oh my gosh, this is insane and so exciting. And you're about to work and travel all over the country, lugging 2 little ones along with you.
It's very exciting. I'm learning how to do it for the best, aka you. And we just got done talking about Unrivaled and 3x3, and we will have our own co-ed team when our time comes, which I think is amazing. So
I'm so excited. And so excited to be doing it with you, because
I know it's really special. So yeah, we'll keep chugging out content and having conversations, and there are a lot of fun basketball to be played, because now we are in conference play. It just hits different in conference play. The familiarity between the teams, right? Every possession matters more. And we've already seen a little bit of like the new Big Ten teams and how they're going to assimilate, but it's, it'll be interesting to see how these matchups, right? Like, you think of like USC playing Maryland and UCLA playing Maryland, and
that's a big matchup happening this week, USC Maryland.
Yeah.
So we'll be keeping our eye on that one. It's an exciting time. How the heck is it January? I have no idea. But we just keep chugging on. I know.
Happy New Year to everyone. We hope you start your New Year healthy, happy, joyous, and we will see you next week. For Got Next, I'm Zora. She's Meghan. We're out.